I never thought a single morning could change everything. I woke up hopeful, clutching my acceptance letter like it was a lifeline. My scholarship interview was today. Finally, a chance to prove I wasn't useless. Where are you going with that? My younger sister Layla sneered from the doorway. Her smirk always carried that sharp edge, the one that made my stomach twist. Don't touch it, I warned, holding the paper close. It's important, she laughed, a slow, calculated sound. Important for you? Everyone already knows you'll mess it up. Why even bother? I clench my fists. You don't get it, Layla. This is my chance. I've worked so hard. Eyes narrowed. Worked? You? Don't make me laugh. Mom and Dad agree with me. You're useless. The words cut deeper than any physical blow. I swallowed hard. I'm not useless. You just waste time, she interrupted. Like always, I turned toward the kitchen. My parents were already there, sipping their morning tea, faces smooth and cold. My father barely glanced at me. Don't be late again, he said, not looking up. Try not to embarrass the family, my mother added. You'll never succeed like your brother. Stop pretending. My brother saw me, didn't say a word, just shot me a glance that screamed indifference. I felt small, swallowed by their apathy. I tried to leave, my heart pounding. Please, just let me go. This matters to me. Layla stepped in front of me, crossing her arms. Or what? You'll cry, beg? You always do? I've got a better idea. Before I could react, she snatched the envelope and tore it in half. My world froze. No, give it back, I shouted, lunging toward her. She held the pieces high, laughing cruelly. Oops, I guess you're really useless, aren't you? I felt a sudden rage, the kind that makes your hands shake. Why? Why would you do this? Because you always think you're better than me, she snapped. Mom and Dad see it too. You're a joke. I backed away, the shredded letter crumpled in my shaking hands. I can't believe this. Everything I worked for, gone. Serves you right, my father muttered, without looking up from his tea. Maybe now you'll stop dreaming. My mother nodded, stern and distant. You need to learn your place. Sami leaned back in his chair. Don't cry, little brother. You've never been anything special anyway. I couldn't breathe. My entire family, the people who were supposed to love me, were against me. You're all wrong, I said, voice cracking. I'm not useless. I've done more than any of you can imagine. Layla rolled her eyes. Sure, keep telling yourself that while I take everything from you. I stormed into my room, slamming the door behind me. My hands were trembling, my chest tight. The silence was deafening. I pressed my back against the wall and sank to the floor. Tears blurred my vision, and I couldn't stop shaking. I can't believe it, I whispered to myself. I can't believe they'd all just watch. Memories of my childhood flashed. My father ignoring me, my mother criticizing me, Sami, always overshadowing me. And Layla, she had always wanted to see me fail, I should have known. My phone buzzed. A message from my best friend. Are you okay? I stared at it, unsure if I wanted comfort or if I wanted someone to know how completely betrayed I felt. I typed back, hands trembling. No, they destroyed everything today. Her reply was quick. I'm coming over. Leaned back on my bed, the paper still in my hand, crumpled and torn. They won't break me, I muttered. But the truth was, I didn't feel strong. Not yet, not today. I had spent years trying to gain their approval, to earn their respect, to be seen. And now, in one morning, all my efforts felt like dust. Maybe I was wrong, I whispered, gripping the torn pieces. Maybe I'm the one who has to do something. Not for them, but for me. The thought hit me like a spark in the dark. I wiped my tears and straightened up. I'd do next, but I knew one thing: I couldn't stay here, not like this. And as I looked at my reflection in the window, pale and tear-streaked, I whispered again, I'm done being their useless little brother. One day they'll see me. CHP.2, I didn't sleep that night. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Layla's smirk. my scholarship in her hands, and my parents' cold, empty faces. I thought I could just ignore it, but the rage and hurt kept building. The next morning, I tried again. "Talk about yesterday," I said, voice steady but tight. Mom looked up from her tea, eyebrows raised. "About what? You losing your mind again?" Dad snorted. "You've made your own bed, son. Don't drag us into your failures." I couldn't believe it. My failures. Layla tore up my scholarship letter. I didn't fail. "She didn't do anything wrong," Mom said, flat. "You failed yourself by being weak." I felt my stomach twist. "I've worked my whole life for this. You don't even see me." Sami leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You never do. That's why you keep crying over nothing." I clenched my fists. "This is not nothing. Do you have any idea what that opportunity meant?" Layla laughed, standing behind him. "You really think you deserved it? You've always been a joke. Everyone knows it." I wanted to scream. "I'm done being your joke. Do you understand?" Dad slammed his hand on the table. "Enough, we've had it with your attitude. If you can't handle reality, maybe you should leave. Go live somewhere else. Learn to survive without us." I froze. "Leave? You're kicking me out?" Mom's voice was icy. "Yes. Maybe then you'll stop being useless in our eyes." I felt my chest tighten. You're serious?" Sami shrugged. "Go on. Pack your pathetic little things. Maybe the world will teach you a lesson we never could." I wanted to hit something. How can you all be like this? Family. "It's supposed to, you're not our family," Layla interrupted. "You've never belonged. Maybe now you'll finally see why." I backed away, shaking. I can't believe this. I gave everything for you. Everything." Layla smirked, as if that proved her point, and look where it got you. Grabbed my jacket and stormed out before I said something I'd regret. The hallway was empty, but the echoes of their words followed me. Later, I met Mr. Tariq, my teacher and mentor. He saw the tears in my eyes immediately. "Hey, what happened? You look like you've been through a storm." I let it out. "It's my family. They hate me. They've made my life impossible. My sister destroyed my scholarship and they say it's my fault. They're kicking me out." Tariq frowned, shaking his head. "I'm sorry. I know how much that meant to you. But remember, their opinions don't define your worth. You've always been capable, hardworking, and smart. Don't let them take that from you." I wiped my face. "Doesn't feel like it matters. I've tried everything. I've been patient, careful, polite, and this is how they repay me." Put a hand on my shoulder. "Some people can't see the good in others, even when it's right in front of them. You have to live for yourself now." Later, I called Amir, my best friend. "Amir, I don't know what to do. I can't go back. There I can't." "You're not alone," he said. "Come stay at my place. Take a break. Think. Don't let them crush you." I sighed. "I feel like I'm nothing, like I don't belong anywhere." "You belong with people who care," Amir said firmly. "And that's not them. I've seen your heart, man. You're stronger than they'll ever be." I hung up and sat on the curb outside my house, the wind cold against my face. I replayed every insult, every dismissive glance, every cruel word. A decade of trying to earn their respect had led to this. I wasted so many years, I muttered to myself, trying to please them, trying to be good enough, and it meant nothing. Tears ran down my cheeks, but I didn't fight them. 4. The first time, I let myself feel the weight of everything: the betrayal, the disappointment, the loneliness. "I can't stay," I whispered. "Not like this. I won't." I didn't know where I would go or what I would do, but one thing was certain. I had to leave their world behind. I had to disappear, vanish into a place where I could grow, where I could survive without their poison. As I walked away from the house, each step felt like cutting a cord. I was leaving pain behind, but also planting a seed that would one day grow into something they couldn't ignore. "I'll be back," I said softly, speaking to no one and everyone at once. One day they'll see me, not as their useless little brother, but as someone they can't control, someone they can't break. And And for the first time in years, I felt a flicker of determination, sharp and steady, burning through the fear and sorrow. 10 years have passed since I walked away from that house, from the people who should have loved me. I never imagined I'd get this far, but here I am older, sharper, stronger. "Hey, you're up early again," said Sam, my colleague, as I sipped my coffee in the small downtown cafe we both frequented. "I don't sleep much," I admitted. "Old habits die hard," Sam smirked, still brooding over the past. I shook my head, though my mind flickered to Layla, tearing up my scholarship. Not brooding, analyzing. There's a difference. He raised an eyebrow. Analyzing. Huh? Sounds like revenge in progress. I let a small smile slip. Maybe, but it's more preparation. You can't fight shadows without knowing them. Sam leaned closer. "You always were dramatic, but okay, I'll bite." "Shadows of what?" "Family," I said simply. The word tasted bitter. All the years they wasted of my life. He nodded slowly. "I get it. You've changed a lot. Hard to believe you were that timid kid I met once." I laughed softly, remembering timid. I was broken. But broken can be fixed, tore, at least rebuilt. Later I met with someone who would change the next phase of my life, someone I only knew as Mr. Zaffer. He didn't introduce himself fully at first, only a voice over the phone. "I hear you've been underestimated. I can help." I was wary. "And why would you help me?" A low chuckle. "Because I know what it's like to be invisible. Because I can give you what you need to return stronger." Meeting him in person was unusual. He didn't shake my hand, didn't smile. He gestured to a chair across from him. "Sit. We don't waste time here." I sat. "I'm listening. 10 years, right? You've been building your life. Skills, knowledge, contacts. You're ready to act." I frowned. "Act, you mean? Confront them?" He leaned back. "Not yet. First understand. Weak in their arrogance? They assume you're powerless. They've never seen you as a threat." "I've thought about that," I admitted. "Every day. I've planned scenarios, considered their reactions, every possible weakness." "Good," he said, eyes sharp. "Most people don't. Most crumble under emotion. You've harnessed it. It makes you dangerous in a subtle way." I studied him. "And you? Why help me? What's your stake?" "Light. Except to see someone underestimated rise to their potential. You've got brains, patience, and resilience. I can teach you strategy, timing, resources, but the execution is yours." I nodded slowly. "So, you provide tools. I do the work." "Makes sense?" "Exactly. But remember this, revenge is a double-edged sword. You can't let it consume you. You act with precision, patience, and control. Anything else is self-destruction." I clenched my fists under the table. Control is what I lacked before. Not anymore. He gave me a small, approving nod. "Good. Let's start with the first step. Observation. Gather intel. Know them from afar. Let them reveal their flaws while you strengthen yourself. Invisible power is often the most effective." I leaned back thinking. For a decade I had hidden in shadows, built a life, learned skills they couldn't imagine. Mr. Zafar was just sharpening the blade. "You're asking a lot," I said finally. "I have a life here, responsibilities. How do I balance that?" "Discipline," he said, leaning forward. "You've already mastered your own growth. Use the same discipline. To manage this, slowly, methodically, one step at a time." I nodded, a strange sense of calm settling over me. "Okay, I can do that, I will." After the meeting, I wandered the city streets. Memories pressing in, moments of ridicule, laughter at my expense, my parents' apathy, Sammy's indifference, Layla's smirk. They haunted me still. But now they fueled something different. Determination. Quiet, burning drive to prove I wasn't weak anymore. Back at my apartment, I met Sam again for dinner. "You've changed," he said, watching me eat. "Something different. Not just the work you do, but there's a fire there." "I have to be ready," I admitted. For them, for myself. This isn't just about revenge. It's about control. about proving I can survive without their approval. Sam nodded. I get that. But promise. Me, you'll stay human, okay? Don't lose yourself in the process. I smiled, tired but resolute. I won't. That's the difference now. I've learned. I won't let them define me again. That night, I stood by the window, looking out. At the city lights, 10 years of shadows had shaped me, forged me. I was no longer the timid, hurt boy they abandoned. I had grown, honed my skills, and built allies. Mr. Zafar Sam. The network I had quietly developed, they were the scaffolding for the storm I would bring. And one day, when I returned to them, I wouldn't just be seen. I would be undeniable CHP, for I stepped off the bus and inhaled the familiar dusty air of my hometown. It hadn't changed much. Narrow streets, the old market stalls, the same faded buildings, but everything felt different now. Different because I wasn't the same boy who had left 10 years ago. I ducked into a cafe near my old street to watch. One coffee black, I told the barista, who gave me a curious glance. I smiled faintly, keeping my tone casual. You're not from around here, huh? He asked. Just passing through, I said. Long story. From my seat, I could see my family's house across the street. Layla's car was parked out front, her designer bag slung over her shoulder. Her bark at a delivery man, her arrogance hadn't changed, but something else had. Her eyes, once full of mischief and cruelty toward me, now flickered with tension and impatience. She's losing it, I muttered under my breath. Who's losing it? Asked a voice. I glanced up to see an older woman, Mrs. Hafiz, the neighbor from next door. Her sharp eyes examined me. Just watching people, I said casually. Old friends, you know how it is. She narrowed her eyes. Careful, people talk. Curiosity can get you into trouble. I smiled, a little coldly. I've learned that. Later I spotted my parents. They were older, slower in movement, still perfectly self-absorbed. My father argued with a shopkeeper about a bill voice. Rising more than necessary, my mother clutched her pearls, looking offended at every word. I noticed the cracks in their composure, the tiny tremors of vulnerability they tried to hide. I whispered to myself, so much for being untouchable. I decided to test the waters. I sent a few messages to their acquaintances under my new identity, subtle notes about Layla's recent blunders. She's losing support fast, one message read. I watched from a distance as rumors began to circulate. It was delicate work, planting seeds without being seen. Careful what you wish for. Mrs. Hafiz's voice startled me again. She leaned over the railing of her porch. I know you're new here, but don't get involved in family matters. People notice. I'm not involved, I said lightly, just observing. She smiled slyly. Observation can be dangerous, especially when curiosity borders on revenge. I chuckled softly, inwardly agreeing, maybe that's exactly why I'm doing it. Hours later, I ran into Samir, a distant cousin of Layla's. You look familiar, he said, squinting at me. Just an old friend of the family, I replied smoothly. Here for a short visit. He studied me. You're different, stronger somehow. I had to be, I said. Life teaches you lessons, whether you like it or not. He nodded slowly. Some of us wish we'd learned a few of those lessons a long time ago. I left the street and wandered into the market. Watching people, listening to whispers about Layla's arrogance and her mistakes. She had burned bridges. Everyone was talking. I felt a quiet satisfaction, but I didn't let it show. Back at a cafe, I sat with a notebook, jotting down observations. My mind raced. How her business decisions alienated colleagues. How friends had stopped inviting her to gatherings. How even her once loyal assistant was now hesitant. Each tiny crack in her carefully constructed life thrilled me silently. A young man approached me. You're new here, right? Moving in? Temporary, I said. I don't plan to stay long, people. Say your family. Well, your sister is in trouble. Everyone's talking. I raised an eyebrow. Is that so? He leaned closer. Yeah, just saying, some of those conversations can spread. Unintended consequences. I nodded slowly. Unintended consequences can be educational. Night, I returned to my temporary apartment. I looked out at the familiar streets below, the house I had once called home. Layla was inside, pacing, muttering to herself. My parents were whispering in their room, unaware of the subtle chaos forming around them. I pressed my hand to the glass. I could step in, I whispered, but should I, or let karma take its course? My reflection stared back at me, strong, determined, tempered by years of shadow. I knew my return wasn't just physical, it was psychological. I was no longer the boy who had begged for their approval. I was a silent storm waiting to strike. And the first hints of that storm were already unfolding. A chill ran through Manat. Of fear, but anticipation. Soon, I murmured. Soon they'll understand. Not just Layla. All of them. Outside, the city hummed with life, oblivious to the web I was beginning to weave. Watching, waiting. Waiting. It was a game, and for the first time in years, I was in control. I watched from the cafe across the street, coffee cooling in my hand as Layla stormed out of her office. Her face was red, hands shaking slightly. Something had gone wrong today, and I hadn't even touched it directly. Did you hear about the contract? Whispered the young intern beside me to his colleague. Yeah. Totally mishandled, the other replied. I smiled faintly. Mishandled. My subtle nudges in her emails. The minor miscommunications I'd orchestrated were working. Later, I called Sam. She's slipping, I said quietly. I can see it, he replied. Are you sure you want to push her further? I have to, I admitted. I can't let her keep thinking she's untouchable. Sam hesitated. Just don't lose yourself in this, okay? I know, I said, though a small voice. In my head whispered doubt, am I becoming her? The one who manipulates without remorse. I shook it off. For now, strategy had to come first. I emailed a few contacts under my alias, subtly spreading news of Layla's mistakes in her industry circle. We heard the Johnson project got delayed. Any truth to that? Responses trickled in. Concern. Whispers, hints that people were losing confidence in her. Perfect. Later, I intercepted a conversation she had with a client. You can't afford this, she snapped. I said it's handled. Handled. The client's voice was sharp. Last time your promises fell apart. We need results. Results will come. She hissed, but her hands trembled. I caught the small involuntary flick of her wrist. She was cracking. I stepped back, letting her flounder. No direct confrontation, just observation, nudging the pieces into place. That evening, I stopped by the neighborhood market to overhear the latest chatter. Mrs. Havies, nosy, had spotted her flustered in the street. She's losing her charm, Mrs. Havies muttered to a friend. Can't trust her to manage anything these days. Finally, the friend replied, maybe someone will teach her humility. I hid a smile, feeling the thrill of silent justice. Layla's arrogance was meeting consequences, and I wasn't. The one delivering them, she, was her own undoing. Still, I couldn't shake a knot of unease. I muttered to myself, am I just enjoying this too much? Is this who I am now? That night I spoke with Mr. Zafar over a secure line. She's slipping faster than I expected, I said. He chuckled. That's good, but control yourself. Observation first, patience second. Don't let satisfaction blind you. I know, I replied, but it's hard not to feel vindicated, even if I haven't touched her directly. Vindication is dangerous, he warned. The moment you start enjoying others' pain, you become what you despise. Stay detached, but remain precise. I'll remember, I said. His words reminded me why I trusted him. Calm, calculated, guiding without overt interference. A week later, I attended a charity event under my new identity. Layla arrived, radiant, but forced. I overheard her interactions with a donor. I assure you, everything is under control, she said, voice tense. I hope so, the donor replied, eyeing her carefully. There have been complications recently. Her smile faltered, tiny but noticeable. I sat back, sipping my drink, feeling the pieces align. The first cracks were visible to everyone but her. On my way home, Sam called. She's panicking. Not yet, but close, I said. Her paranoia is building. She second-guesses herself, her colleagues, even her assistant. That's risky, Sam said. Don't push her to break completely. That's dangerous. I paused, thinking, I know. I'm walking the line. I don't want to destroy her entirely. Just show her the truth of her arrogance. Then be careful, he said softly. You don't want her breaking you instead. Later that night, I sat by the window, watching Layla's house from a distance. Lights flickered in her office, her silhouette pacing back and forth. She was muttering, talking to herself. I could see desperation creeping into her movements. The tight line of her jaw. She's human, I whispered to myself. Fragile, flawed, and finally seeing it, I clenched my fists, feeling both triumph and hesitation. I want justice, not cruelty, I said quietly. But it's tempting. So tempting. I leaned back, thinking of my parents. They were beginning to notice small cracks, 2 hesitant remarks about Layla, subtle comments that betrayed doubt. My silent influence was spreading. Karma or my design? It didn't matter. It was working. The thrill of control clashed with my conscience. I muttered again. Am I crossing the line? I reminded myself. Patience, observation, precision, not vengeance for its own sake. I had survived their cruelty once. I wouldn't let it consume me now, but as I watched Layla's desperate figure through the glass, a small, unshakable thought settled in my mind. One day, they would all see. The arrogance, the cruelty, the entitlements, they couldn't hide from the consequences forever, and I would be there. Not as the boy they destroyed, but as the one who quietly ensured they faced reality. On their own terms, CHP.6, I didn't expect to be seen so soon. Sammy's shadow fell across the doorway before I could move. Who are you? His voice was cautious, sharp, but tinged with disbelief. Just someone who's been watching. I said lightly, my heart hammering. Seems like you've been busy. He stepped closer, squinting. You wait. I've seen you before. That face, it's familiar. Stop messing with me. I'm not messing, Sami, I said calm. But you've been blind for years. Didn't notice what was happening right under your nose? His jaw tightened. Stop speaking in riddles. Who are you? I'm the one you ignored, I said softly. The one you left behind. The one your sister destroyed a decade ago. Sammy's face went pale. It can't be. I'm real, I interrupted, and I've grown. Stronger, sharper, and much more aware than you remember. Swallowed, anger and guilt mixing. Why are you here? After all these years. To show truths, I said. It's about Layla, about you, about our parents. He laughed bitterly. Our parents? Don't even start with them. I shook my head. You will saw me. They've hidden behind their wealth and comfort for too long, and your sister. She's been playing a dangerous game, one she's losing. Sammy's expression softened, conflicted. Always knew she was selfish, but I didn't see this coming. You never did, I said, because you never looked. I'm asking you to see clearly. Later, Layla stormed in, eyes wide, voice sharp. Who told you could come back? You to judge me? I'm the one you underestimated, I said. For 10 years you thought you could break me, humiliate me, erase me. And look at you now. Your mistakes are visible to everyone. Her face twisted in anger. Mistakes? I worked hard. Worked hard, I echoed. Manipulated colleagues, burned bridges, alienated friends. And yet here you are, scrambling because no one trusts you. She backed away, trembling.
Slightly, you don't know anything?
I know enough, I said. I know your arrogance, your cruelty. I know the way Mom and Dad pretended it didn't exist because it suited them. My parents stiffened, guilt flickering in their eyes. Enough, Mom said, voice tight. I didn't realize. I'm tired of illusions, I said. Your care was conditional, your love a facade. You ignored me, ignored her, ignored the truth, and now you're forced to face it. Dad's voice cracked. I should have. I never thought. You never thought because you never tried, I said. And your daughter Layla thrived in that blindness. But now the world isn't blind, and neither am I. She staggered back, her facade crumbling. You're insane. You think you can? I stepped closer, calm, controlled. I'm just here to point out what's been obvious for years. You've been living in a bubble of arrogance. But now, it's bursting. And the ones you hurt most, me, our brother, even Mom and Dad, they see it too. Sammy's voice broke through. She really doesn't get it. I feel guilty too. I should have protected you. I nodded. It's not about guilt anymore. It's about facing facts. Layla's choices isolated her. She thought she could always manipulate everyone, including me. Now she's alone in her reckoning. Layla's eyes filled with tears, though she tried to blink them away. You're cruel. How could you? After everything I did for this family? Did you? I said softly, almost pitying. Did you only serve yourself while pretending to care? 10 years ago, you tore apart my life for your own gain. And now, karma, subtle and precise, is revealing the truth. Her knees weakened, and she sank to the floor. I didn't mean you underestimated me, I said calmly. You always thought I'd stay weak, invisible. But I survived. I grew, and I came back to witness the cracks your arrogance created. Mom whispered, voice trembling. I know, I said. The lies, the favoritism, the blind trust, it's all exposed now. Not by me, really, but by her own choices. Sami stepped closer to her. Layla, maybe now you see. We weren't your enemies. We were. Honest. Waiting for you to see reality. She shook her head, sobbing. I don't know what to say. I never realized. I looked at her, finally letting a fraction of compassion show. You can start by acknowledging your mistakes. That's the first step for the rest. The consequences are already unfolding. A silence fell, heavy and charged. The air was thick with tension, guilt, and the slow dawning of realization. Layla's world was beginning to crumble, and I stood there. Finally, no longer the helpless boy, no longer. Ignored. I had returned not just to witness, but to turn the truths they all avoided into reality. She had underestimated me, and now she had nowhere to hide. I watched quietly from my usual spot across the street as Layla walked into the office, her steps hesitant, her smile forced. The interns whispered as she passed. I could hear their doubts even from here. She messed up the Thompson deal, right? One asked. She did. And she's blaming everyone but herself, another replied. I chuckled softly. Karma was slow, but precise. She had thought she could bend the world to her whims. Now the cracks were everywhere. Later, she called our parents. I listened from a distance as their conversation unfolded. Mom, Dad, I think I messed up. Layla's voice trembled. Mom's tone was shocked. What do you mean? Everything was supposed to be perfect. The contract failed. The investors are pulling out. And everyone is questioning me, she admitted. Dad's voice shook slightly. We didn't know. How could this happen? I mismanaged. I didn't consult anyone properly, she stammered. I muttered under my breath, finally, she's seeing consequences. Later that evening, I intercepted a call from one of her former colleagues, Layla. We're reconsidering your proposal, the colleague said cautiously. What? No, you can't. I've led this team. She faltered, panic creeping into her voice. Please. I whispered to myself, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and unease. Please see it now. Just feel it for a moment. The next day, I bumped into Mom at the market. Is it true? She asked softly, voice trembling. What's happening with Layla? She's learning lessons the hard way, I said lightly. Mom sighed, looking older than I remembered. We never realized how much we ignored you. We let her arrogance blind us. I studied her carefully. You let her arrogance blind you, and you let me vanish. Do you feel regret? Yes, she admitted, voice breaking. We should have supported you. We should have seen your worth. That's why I'm here, I said gently. Not to punish, but to guide. Sometimes consequences teach more than scolding ever could. She nodded, tears glistening. I understand. Hope we can make amends. I smiled faintly. We will in time. But first, she has to face reality herself. That night, I listened as Layla's phone rang off the hook. Calls from former allies, disappointed friends, and furious clients. Each conversation chipped away at her arrogance. You're impossible, she yelled at someone. I've worked so hard. How could everyone turn against me? Perhaps because you never saw how your actions hurt them, the voice replied calmly. She flinched, slumping into her chair. I didn't mean to no excuses, I whispered to myself. Just accountability. The following day, I met with Sami. She's panicking, I said. I see it, he admitted. Do you feel satisfied? I do, I said softly, but it's strange. I expected anger, maybe even joy, but it's bittersweet. I see her desperation, and it almost pains me. It's empathy, he said quietly. You've grown. You want justice, not cruelty. Yes, I said, nodding. And that's why I'm letting this unfold naturally. Karma is teaching her, not me punishing her. Later, I overheard Layla confronting one of her friends. I didn't know anyone would betray me like this, she said, voice trembling. Her friend's tone was firm. You didn't betray yourself, Layla. You pushed everyone away. You thought you were untouchable. Layla swallowed, tears welling. I thought I was doing right? You didn't listen? You didn't care? You alienated everyone? I leaned back, listening, feeling a deep sense of justice unfolding. She was learning humility, and for the first time, the world reflected her actions honestly. Later that evening, I visited Dad in the study. Son, duh, he said quietly, startled. Yes, Dad, I said calmly. I wanted to talk. He looked down, ashamed. I never realized how blind I was. I should have supported you, instead of ignoring you all those years. You can't change the past, I said softly, but you can see the present. Layla is learning lessons, and it's a chance for reflection for all of us. Mom joined, tears in her eyes. We thought we were doing right by everyone, but we were wrong. We were never useless. Not once. I nodded. It's not about blame anymore. It's about recognizing truths. Layla's mistakes are her own, but seeing them affects all of us, and that's part of growth. I could hear Layla pacing upstairs, muttering. Each step, each flustered word, a reminder of the arrogance that had isolated her. She's human, I whispered to myself. Fragile, flawed, and finally facing consequences. I don't need to destroy her. Karma is enough. Sammy's voice rang in my memory. You want justice, not cruelty. That was the balance I needed. Watching the unfolding chaos, guiding, subtly letting consequences teach the lessons was enough. I didn't need her complete ruin. I needed her to see, to feel, to understand. By the time the night settled, Layla sat silently in the darkened room, finally listening to the reality of her choices. My parents reflected on their own failures, their guilt softening the edges of the past, and I, standing quietly in the shadows, felt the weight lift slightly. I had returned, yes. I had witnessed the consequences, guided them subtly. Hadn't become what I despised. Karma was unfolding. That was enough. I stepped through the doorway of the house I had once fled, my heart steady, my mind sharper than ever. This was not for revenge. This was to save them from themselves. Layla froze at the sight of me. I'm here, I said, calm, measured. Not to punish, but to show you reality. To protect you from your own arrogance. She laughed nervously, voice shaking. Protect me, you. You left me to everything. You You were useless. I was anything but useless, I said softly, letting the weight of 10 years hang. In the silence, I left to grow, to survive, to understand. And now I've returned, stronger, wiser, and ready to guide. Sami stepped closer, eyes wide. I didn't know you'd come back like this. I've come back, I said, locking eyes with him. Because what was broken before can be fixed, but only if you accept the truth. Mom's voice quavered. We never realized. We didn't see you, not truly. Family, you failed yourselves by letting pride and arrogance blind you, I said. Layla, you thought cruelty and manipulation would make you untouchable. But the consequences were real and they'd been teaching you for years. She sank into a chair, shoulders shaking. I tried to be perfect. I thought I was protecting everyone? Protecting, I echoed. No, you were serving your ego. You hurt people, your family, friends, colleagues. You isolated yourself? And now the world has mirrored your actions? Her gaze dropped. I see it now. I never realized. I was so wrong. I know, I said gently. And that's why I'm here. You don't need me to punish. Karma is a teacher, but sometimes guidance helps the lesson stick. Dad stepped forward, voice cracking. We didn't notice. We let her arrogance blind us, and we ignored you. And yet you still have a chance, I said. To acknowledge mistakes, to rebuild. Not through fear, but through understanding. Mom's eyes filled with tears. We can't change the past, but we want. We want to make it right. You can, I said softly, by recognizing truths, supporting each other, and learning humility. That's how this family survives, if you're willing to accept it. Layla's voice trembled. You've changed. You're stronger. I underestimated you. I thought you'd always be the weak one, but now I see. Yes, I said, letting a small, approving smile show. I grew in shadows, in silence. I learned patience, strategy, empathy. Right. I survived the pain you caused. And now, I'm here not to dominate, but to protect what matters, this family and myself. Sami swallowed, stepping closer. You've always been stronger than any of us realized. We just didn't see it. I wasn't invisible, I said. You were just blind to my worth. The room fell silent, except for the quiet sobs of Layla, the tentative sniffles of our parents. It wasn't humiliation I wanted. It was reflection, awareness, and growth. I understand now, Layla whispered, voice breaking. I need to change. I've hurt so many. I don't know how to fix it. Start by acknowledging it, I said. Then by acting differently. That's all anyone can ask. Change isn't instant, but it begins with honesty. Dad nodded slowly. We need to reflect too. We let pride blind us. We want to support this family properly from now on, Mom added. We're sorry for not seeing your worth, for ignoring the boy we should have nurtured. I felt a weight lift from my chest. 10 years of pain, betrayal, and growth had led to this moment. The boy they discarded had transformed into someone capable, resilient, and in control, not through anger, but through understanding. You've all seen consequences, I said quietly, but you've also seen that survival, resilience, and humility can rebuild what arrogance and neglect broke. Layla, your mistakes are yours. Parents, your failures are yours. And I'm here to guide, not to punish. She nodded, tears streaming. I see now. I'm sorry. For everything. I know, I said softly. And that's enough. Change is the real justice. I took a deep breath, feeling closure settle inside me. I wasn't just returning. I was reclaiming my life, my dignity, my strength. The family I once thought irreparably broken now had a chance because I had survived, because I had grown beyond the pain they inflicted. I've waited a long time for this moment, I said, voice calm. It's not to destroy, not to punish, but to heal, to stand as someone they can finally see. Someone who survived betrayal and emerged whole. The room was quiet. I looked at them, my sister, my brother, my parents, and for the first time in years, I felt peace. I was no longer the boy they dismissed. I was the protector of the family they had almost lost, and of myself. Closure wasn't in revenge. Was in presence, in guidance, in the strength I had earned. And finally, the first time in a decade, I smiled not because I had one, because I had become the person I was always meant to be.